Gonna get married.
I have proof. I called it first. Okay, so.
You didn't say who that.
Wait, I called it first.
No, I called
I
it
said it like 2 minutes before you did.
Our trig class called it first. There we go.
We better all be in the wedding party.
Yeah.
Yes.
Madison and Lucas.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
What did you just say?
I said you guys' names out loud, and I said now it's in the video.
Oh,
So everyone knows what we're talking about. Okay, so the very first thing whenever you want to find anything, if you're given an equation, is you want to put it in standard form. When you're looking at standard form, each column is different. This column is when x is squared. This column is when y is squared. Okay? So when x is squared, on the left-hand side, you're either going to have a parentheses with x minus a number, or that's just going to be x squared. Okay, if that number in there is 0. Same thing over here. You're just going to have y. Y with a number in there. If it's 0, just y squared. Everything else is going to go on the other side. Okay? So this is not in standard form. First off, the squared's not on the correct side. So if I flip it, 1/2 x squared equals y. Okay, that's still not in standard form because I can't have anything on the left-hand side besides the squared part. So how would I get rid of the 1/2? Multiply by 2. So I have x squared equals 2y. Now, this is the same thing as this. It's just they didn't put the 0 in it. Okay? So these are identical, same exact problem. So, which column would we be in? The first column or the second column? First one, because x is squared. Okay, if you're going to label anything, there's 3 things you're going to have to find. H, K, and P. Okay? Because every formula up here has those 3 things in it. So if I look at my equation, H is what is subtracted from x. So what is subtracted from x? 0. So my H is 0. K is what is subtracted from y. So what's subtracted from y? 0. Okay, then P. Well, the P is located before on the right-hand side, but it's attached to a 4. So I know 4P is equal to whatever number's in front on the right-hand side. So the number in front on the right-hand side is 2. So what's P going to be equal to? 1/2, right? Because if I divide by 4, P is 1/2. Hey, that is the exact same no matter which column you're in. They both have the 4P in front. Okay, now on the second column, the squared is flipped because y is squared, x isn't. So you're going to notice H is still going with x, K is still going with y. Okay? Alright, so then we can go find everything we need to find. So vertex, focus, directrix. Okay, so the vertex is HK. So what would my vertex be? What are H and K?
0.
0, 0. Okay, and then for the focus, the first point says H. So H is 0. Then the second part says K plus P. So K plus P, 0 plus 1/2. Okay, so you're literally just taking those things and plugging them in with whatever it says. So directrix is a line, so that's why it has y equals in the first column, x equals in the second column. Okay, what's K minus P? -1/2. Okay, now as far as sketching the graph, you do not have to plot the focus, you do not have to draw the directrix. Okay? If you want to, you can. here's what I want. I want the vertex and then a point on each side. So how do you get that? Well, you plug in numbers, and you always plug in numbers for whatever variable is squared. So since x is squared, I'm going to plug numbers in for x. If I'm in the second column, I would plug numbers in for y. Okay, so what's a number on either side of 0?
1 and
1 and -1. Okay, and it doesn't matter when you plug it in, if you plug it into the original problem, or if you plug it into like the simplified problem. You're going to get the same answer. So if I put in 1, if I just go to standard form, 1 squared is 1, then I would have to divide by 2, that's a half. That's the same thing if I put in the original, 1 squared is 1 times a half is a half. You're going to get the same answer. Okay, what would I get when I put in -1? Okay, I'm not going to give you graph paper for these. You're just going to freehand it. Doesn't have to be anything perfect. Just plot your 3 points and make it look curved. It's not pointed. It's not an absolute value. They're parabolas.
So I have a question that I've been pondering for a while.
Okay.
Is Michelle Bainey married?
Yes.
Okay, I was trying to figure out why she had a different last name than her mom, but I didn't know she was married.
The gentleman that at the football games sells like the apparel.
What?
And he also works at the basketball games. He works at the concession stand.
Is that her husband?
He's
No way.
yeah, John.
What? Wow. Did anyone else know this?
Yeah.
What? I don't even know who you guys are.
Do you guys want to do another one like this, or do you want to go to like the next
I
time?
talk
next
to
time.
Michelle
Next time.
all the time, and I didn't even know. Oh, whoa!
Terrible.
I know exactly what you're talking
And
about.
the person that works in the same with basketball games with all the kids.
I had no idea.
They're married.
I did not know.
Wait.
Oh,
Oh, I know what you're talking
And
about.
the guy that works
Yeah.
in, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably got the wrong stuff.
He's at like almost every single event.
Yeah, but I didn't. I just.
Well, now
They're
you
not, I
know.
never see them together.
Do you always see me with my husband?
When I see your husband, it's you two together. There you go.
Well, I don't see him once a week.
I know you do.
Good for you, Nate. Good for you. Everybody's arguing about
Okay, is number excuse me. Is number 2 in standard form? No. Okay, I need the square part on the left, error part on the right. Now, if you already have parentheses, don't get rid of the parentheses, because that means it's close to standard form, because then you're going to have to just work harder. Okay?
So subtract.
So, subtract this whole group over there, right? Because I want the squared on the left. Okay, why would I not distribute this? Well, because I need parentheses on the right-hand side if I can. Like if there's other stuff over there. So don't distribute that negative, because then you'd have to refactor it out. So you're going to, starting parentheses, move the whole group. Okay, is this in standard form?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so then I would find H, K, and P before I try to find anything else. Okay, so we're in this column. How do I know that my H is -5 and not 5?
Because you distribute the
No.
Okay.
Because in the parentheses it's x minus h.
Okay, good. In the parentheses, these are all minuses. So when you take it out, you have to basically change the sign. That's true for circles, parabolas, ellipses, hyperbolas.
So even if it's -1, you'll have to switch.
Right,
it,
so then
it'll
this
be
would
1.
become 1.
Okay.
Okay, because every time, and this is always true, in parentheses, it'll be minus. So it's like you're changing the sign. Let me pull it out.
Just too much for me.
Okay? So then to find P,
Purple.
I would set, excuse me, 4P equal to, what's my number in front of the parentheses? -1. So what's P gonna be equal to? -1/4. Okay, so I'm in this column. So if I find what's my vertex gonna be? Oh, what's the formula for vertex?
Negative 5 and 1.
Okay, we're just gonna do negative 5, 1. So it's HK, right? Okay, then the focus. The first part says H plus P. So negative 5 plus negative 1/4, so negative 5 minus 1/4 would be negative 5 1/4. And then the second part says K, so K is 1. Then my directrix is X equals, okay, I want H minus P. So negative 5 minus negative 4, so negative 5 plus a 4, would be negative 4 and 3/4. Okay, what variable is being squared?
Why?
The y. So we're going to plug numbers in for y. Okay, here's what we do. We don't want to have to deal with taking square roots, so you can't take square root of negative. Okay, so I'm going to put numbers in for y. So my number's 1. I would do number on either side, so like 0 and 2. Now, you're working backwards in your order of operations. So if I put in 0, because everything's over here got solved. So what's 0 minus 1?
Negative
What's negative 1 squared?
1.
Okay, then you would divide by this negative,
Negative
negative 1, and then what would I do now?
1. Subtract 5.
Subtract 5.
Negative.
Hello? Yes? No, teaching. I know it's in the process. There was an announcement made yesterday. I know that the teachers haven't been informed yet. I don't think that they've even told Melissa yet. Who's in the top 20 in his classroom? Have you guys already, has everyone turned their name in?
Yes.
Everyone in the whole top 20 has.
I don't know.
I believe
Oh, I
so,
don't know.
because,
I think so.
Janice has been like asking everyone.
They said Janice has been asking everyone. Jake made an announcement yesterday before he left. Yes, and it had to be a Shenandoah.
I think it's like never
That's all I know.
Oh, I feel like that. Did we just say something about?
Yeah. Is it not done?
And I'm getting.
I would say that's 100% true. Partially because he's not here, partially because it's not a priority. If you want me to communicate. Right.
Positive 60.
I'm sorry. Alright, I'm gonna go back to you two. Bye.
Plug in the tables, 2 minus 1. 1 squared is 1. Divided by negative 1 makes negative 1. Negative 1 minus 5 is negative 6.
It's gonna be negative 6.
It is gonna be negative 6 again. You already solved it?
Told you.
Okay,
Why isn't my?
what's 2 minus 1?
1.
1 squared.
1.
Divided by negative 1.
Negative 1.
Minus 5.
Negative 6.
Okay, these are symmetrical, right? So unless you're dealing with fractions, they're gonna be the same numbers. Do you guys like have a bet with her or something, or?
No, she kept arguing that it was
I was
6.
just arguing if it was positive or negative.
Um,
Yeah.
Okay, so this one's gonna look different than what you're used to them looking like. Cause this is opening, ooh, that's a very big graph, but
Oh,
they're
why?
opening right or left of that column.
Oh, because I put on -4.
Alright, now we're gonna get to the fun ones.
That's how you know.
Completing the square. Do you remember completing the
No.
square?
Yes.
Shut up.
Okay, how do you feel about vertex focus, directrix, and graphing?
Got it.
Gucci.
It's actually not as bad as I thought.
Gucci down to the socks.
The
'cause
word.
I'm not wearing socks, and my toes are Gucci.
Okay.
We got this all on
Okay,
video.
hey, somebody needs to check. Wait, guys. Oh shoot, I lost it.
What'd you do
Oh
that?
no. There's this company. They gave me their business card yesterday that I met in the office, and I forget what they're called. I think they're called Sky. It's like Sky Athletic Wear, but their socks are so cute. Like you would love them.
Do you guys remember when the boys made the skyscraper at the
Yeah.
Oh man, and all the girls are like, oh my gosh, I love their t-shirts. I was the only person in our class who did not have a t-shirt.
I didn't have one.
You didn't have one?
No.
Okay, completing the square. If you don't have where they're just zeros, like the first problem, or where it's already grouped, if you have something that's like this means you're gonna have to do more work because you're gonna actually have to complete the square. Okay, so I'm gonna give you some helpful hints. Maybe you could like jot down steps at the side of your problem. So like, okay, this is what you do first, this is what you do second. Okay? First thing you do is you look to see what is squared.
Why?
Okay, so I want all the stuff that's squared, the variable that goes with the squared on the left, everything else on the right. So I'm gonna leave y squared plus 6y over here. Everything else gets moved to the other side. Okay, that's step one. So if you want to write yourself some steps, so you know what to do, that's fine. Okay, does anybody remember how to make it a perfect square?
Don't you have to,
Oh wait, you.
take it up
Oh wait.
whatever, half b, squared?
Half b squared.
Wow, Nate.
Okay.
Add it out with that.
Perfect square.
So you'll have to do half b squared,
I'm really excited.
and then you're going to add that number to both sides. Okay, so my b, we're only focusing on the part that's squared. So you're only looking at the y stuff. So what's my b over here?
So it's 6.
6. So what's half times 6?
3.
3, and what's 3 squared?
No.
Okay, we're going to add that to both sides. So this would be y squared plus 6y plus 9 equals negative 8x minus 25 plus 9. Or you can go ahead and combine those in one step if you want. Okay, then this becomes a perfect square. Does anybody remember the shortcut on how you know what goes in there?
You
Take it, whatever you read, yes.
It's the half a b number.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so this is y plus 3 squared equals negative 8x. Okay, what's negative 25 plus 9?
Negative 16.
Negative 16. Okay, the left-hand side squared, right?
Yeah.
So then the last step, to make it look like standard form, on the right-hand side, you need to factor out the number in front of x. So I'm going to factor out negative 8.
Is it always going to be like that?
Yes. It'll come out like, if it's not perfect, it would leave you with like a half or something. Not like weird fractions. Okay, so I'm going to talk through the steps again. So the first step, the squared variable and its variables on the left, everything else on the right. That's step 1. Step 2 is you take a half b squared and you add it to both sides. Step 3 is you make this a perfect square and then combine like terms on the right side. And then your last step is you factor on the right. Whatever number's in front of the x or the y, the first number. you wanna find the rest of everything on here?
Yeah.
Okay, so what column would we be in, first or second?
Why not?
What column? Second. Okay, so what's my H going to be? Okay, so H comes from the X, so -2, where we have to change your sign, whatever's in parentheses. What about the K? -3. Okay, then to find P, I'd have 4P equal to -8, so what's P equal to? -2. So vertex, focus. How about we find everything but we don't graph?
Yeah, I'm done.
Sounds good.
Done with that?
You hear that, Nate?
Lucas, aren't you stopping me?
Yes!
You know, we should expel you from this classroom because you're just negative energy.
Expel you from this classroom.
No, I think
You
we
can
need to
move to
promote him
7th hour.
to back semester.
Yeah.
I appreciate your
What's the vertex?
constant attitude.
I'll see like that, Lucas.
A numbers.
-3. -3.
Howdy.
I'm recording, just FYI.
Bonjour.
You can say whatever you want.
I thought you were just randomly saying howdy. I was like, who?
-2, -3.
Vertex. Howdy.
Then the focus. First part, H plus P. -4. And then K, what's K? -3. And then my directrix is X equals H minus P. 0. Okay, and make sure on your directrix, these are lines, that's why it's X equals and Y equals. Okay, don't just put a number there. Okay, how we feel about those?
Pretty good.
Pretty good? Ready to move on to the next topic?
I forgot we were going crazy today since we
Oh, I'm not even crazy yet.
didn't do anything this
Wow, I think we got
Can we take a break?
Whoa,
We're
my
doing a
whole
lot.
arm ran
Break.
Can I show the camera my kitty tattoo?
Yes.
Sure.
It honestly
It's
was
kinda
falling off. Kind of creepy
I
now.
don't know, should I let you?
It looks a little weird now.
I was a little afraid what I would find.
This is my cat.
On that one, I like slowed the frame down and then got real close to its face and I went,
You were really artistic with that one.
it was an accident, but a beautiful, happy accident.
Beautiful, happy accident.
Okay, we have 2 more to do.
We can do it. Hey, we got this.
Wait, 2 more like topic, no, like 2 more with this set of directions.
Okay.
Like so, 2 problems.
Oh, wait.
There's more.
We're done for today.
No, we're done forever.
How many days of school do we have left?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I heard 20-something.
23 today?
22?
That's wild. I feel like we still have like 6
Including
months.
today 22, without today 21.
I'm glad it's only 22. OSHA was like 10.
So this paper clip has been on my floor all week and I forgot to move it to see if anyone else will pick it up. Like my janitor.
I'll take a note if you want.
No, I'm just experiment now.
Okay.
We'll
now
see
we
how
can.
long it'll stay
Oh
there.
yeah, we are supposed to do
Just
this
every day
every
make it
day.
tally.
It started at 20 days.
Like,
Well, we're at 3 nights of cleaning.
3
Stays
days of
Thursday, right?
cleaning.
And a party.
Alright, you ready?
Birthday on the
What number is this? Should we make an tally?
Two dozen
Those look bad, I'm
What
sorry.
are the tallies for?
What do you think the tallies are for?
Poot.
I don't know.
How long has this paper clip been on?
Oh, okay. Well, they start talking about graduation and everything, so I got a little lost on what we were counting down there.
Graduation.
Okay, so find the standard form of the equation. So this one you're writing the equation, so you're gonna be given something, you're gonna work backwards. Okay? Now, for this set of directions, the vertex is at the origin. So what does that mean H and K are?
0.
0, 0. Okay? So, vertex is at the origin. Means that your vertex is 0, 0. so the only thing you have to find to be able to write an equation is you're gonna have to be able to find P. Okay, I want you to try to figure out how do I know that we are in this column?
Wait, what?
How do I know my equation is gonna look like this?
Because the
the
focus is
K's are the
H.
same.
Okay, so if I look at, I have this is my first part, this is my second part, right? I know that H and K are both 0. So this is the part that has 0, which means it's the second part, so that means that's gonna be my K. This one has K plus P, this one just has K,
How do you know that H is 0?
because it's at the origin, vertex is at the origin, okay? So what does that mean this formula is?
H
plus
minus, or
H
0
plus
minus.
P,
0.
right? Okay, so I think, I know here, I know where you're going. He's going with, he said 0 plus P is -2, right? Because H plus P is this. I know H is 0, so what's P gonna be? So my equation would be y minus 0 squared equals, okay, what's 4 times -2? -8, x minus 0. Okay, if you don't like the zeros in there, okay, or you're checking your answers in the book, they don't put zeros. So they would have their answer like this. Either one is fine, they're the same thing.
That is the real question.
What is that?
That's honestly what I was thinking.
One more, friends.
Wait, you do it.
Yes, we can. We do it.
Yes, we can.
Bob the Builder. Can we trick it?
Fix it.
Trick it.
Can we solve it?
Yes, we can.
Oh, no, right now.
Wow.
Artistically talented.
Do you ever feel this, leave this class feeling a little dumber than you were when you walked in?
Yes.
Yes.
All the time.
What'd you say?
Every day. Leave this class a little dumber than you were the
No, not after all the information that we learn.
And all the songs we come up with.
Alright,
I actually leave this class feel pretty satisfied with
Good.
myself.
which column are we in?
Left.
How do we know?
Because why?
Okay, so it says directrix is y equals, this one has y equals, this one has x equals. Are you good? Okay. Alright, and this is still centered at the origin, so I know h and k are both 0. Okay, so if I'm given the directrix, the formula for the directrix is k minus p. That means that k minus p equals -1. And what do we know k is?
0.
0. So then what's p gonna equal if negative p equals -1?
1.
I like this stuff.
Okay, so my equation would be x minus 0 squared equals, okay, so 4p, so 4 times 1, 4. And then y minus 0. Okay? Or how else could you write this?
X squared equals 4y.
X squared equals 4y.
We made it! Woohoo! Or camera.
Adios, amigos.
Love you.
Till next